Hello everyone, welcome to today's review session. Today I'll be reviewing Season 19 from the NAOL League, Round 2. And without further ado, let's just jump right in with Game 1. And with all three of these games all have crazy fighting, and if I wanted to, I could spend an hour on each of these games. But to keep within the time constraints, I'm going to just hit just big picture things that you could apply in all of your games as opposed to minute details that might apply to just this game. So let's jump in. We have Fred 8, 5Q as black, and MattNyte, 5Q as white. And we start off with a pretty unusual opening with the Tengen as black's third move. And I would say, especially in the Q level, play openings you're comfortable with. I don't know black's games. I don't think I have reviewed any of their games in the past, but if this is something you like black, then I would say keep going for it, because it is on your opponent to kind of prove why it's a bad opening. But just know that as you improve, your opponents are going to be better at dealing with this kind of opening. But white just splits. This makes sense. And then black approaches, and white just backs off. And then attach, especially with what black is going for with Tengen, I would really think about jumping here. It really starts to tie together Tengen. So obviously Tengen is trying to control the center, so any move that plays towards the center is probably going to be working in unison with it. But I can say confidently that black has played more games with this opening than I have, because I don't think I've ever played the Tengen. But we get the attachment, very trendy with AI. And then white pushes. This makes sense, because while this move here might be the most common, white's probably afraid of black standing up, which again, if white doesn't necessarily want to jump in too soon, and so white wants to avoid any sort of fights here, so white instead just presses the left side down and then approaches. And this approach, yeah, this makes sense. We're approaching from our stone. Black backs off, and as black did, white attaches. And we get this move. Yeah, this is possible. Atari and connect. You need a very specific reason why you are playing this one, though. Generally, you can play at R2 or S2 are more common. So you need a really specific reason why you're playing this, because as you can see, you get very over-concentrated. The stone at O3 is very close. So, yeah, but it's okay. White connects, and then black extends. And so here, it brings up the first really important point of this game is black is extending 3 from one stone, right? This O3 stone, which this is generally correct. As we saw, white just did this on the right side. But realistically, black can live at any time at S2, right? This group is pretty solid, and it can still run out. And again, the benefit of having Tengen is you have an ally that you can pretty much always run to in the center. So this is a point where black doesn't need to play so close, or even so, black doesn't need to think about their group in the lower right so much. I would be really thinking about playing all the way at H3, really trying to put maximum pressure on this group. Because while playing K3 is a little safer, if white's ever able to get H3, this creates a weakness anyways at M3. Because if white gets M3, this threatens to connect under. And this is, again, a very common theme that we'll see in these games, is knowing these kind of shapes. If you know that you can connect under, even though your opponent has a stone in the middle of your 3-space extension, you can, a lot more options are available to you in terms of invasions and other fighting techniques, or fighting scenarios, I mean. So by going here, we're putting maximum pressure on the white group. And the idea is, even if white comes in, white is not alive in the corner. So if we just lean, we want to attack the corner since it's more valuable. So if we lean on the K3 stone, again, there's no chance of our group in the lower right dying or even being in danger. Because even if white extends here, we can always live at S2, we can always run out at Q6, and so white would have 2 regroups to our 1 weak group, or 1 stone. So if white has to play on this side, which white does in the game, then we can really build the bottom side like this. But when you play a quote-unquote standard move like this, you're not putting as much pressure on the white group, and therefore white has a little more freedom. So yeah, this is the benefit of kind of the Joseki black chose. It's super defensive, right? Super over-concentrated, but when you have a defensive position, you can go on the offensive. White jumps and black goes here. And so because black is a little further away, I would actually be thinking about, because again, we can play at H3, we can even attach to try to get Sente, or we can even play C2. So again, this group is pretty safe. Black never extended properly from the upper left, so I'd be looking to play a move like D11. If black turns, again, we can put a lot of pressure on the upper left group. And again, because this K3 stone is a little too far, it's harder to attack this lower left side. So yeah, I'm sure black was thinking about the spacing here, but black should think more about how can I put pressure on this white group and not so much about their own safety here. Well, white just jumps here. Black goes here. Oh, and also if black were to help this group, then even if we play the knight's move here, now there's not a clean way to separate. Okay, so black leans, and white invades 3-3, sure. And attach, yep, so same idea as I suggested J3 for white. We attach to try to get Sente. Now, generally speaking, notice how white ended up playing F16 anyways. That means it's probably better just to play F16 directly, right? The whole proverb, if A, B, C, just play C. Reason is, you've actually helped black connect. Where if you just play this and black plays the same move, we probably wouldn't make this exchange now. You can see it's a pretty good exchange for black. We would maybe clamp or even just invade. So if black's looking for forcing moves, just try to limit the amount of forcing moves. Again, maybe black will play differently, but even now, maybe we can Hane, and now we're Haneing at the head of 2 stones. Even if we play a little or very securely, again, now black has added stones here, we could reasonably attack the left side now, because now we have stones facing the left side there. So yeah, just stand up. Black would probably still back off, and then you would just do something else. But Haneing and connecting, yeah, you help black there. Atari and play there, sure. And then black cuts, play there, yep. And then white goes here. So we can tell this is not the best move, because both sides forget about this move for the next, 100 moves. So that's when we can tell the direction here was not the best. And the problem with it is again, white is thinking about, okay, I've created a connection at B14 and jumping out at D14. But you want to think about putting pressure on your opponent, kind of like with K3. It's very safe, right? This move is preparing 2 possibilities to live. But especially when you've added stones at F16 and G16, you can think to attack here instead. This is a lot harder move for black to ignore because it's more active. Whereas when you play this one, I actually really like black just going elsewhere and attacking. Now this specific spot, it's hard to say whether you should play this one or directly play at F5. Because if you play this one while you are threatening to separate, I might just fix here, and if you want to cut that off, you cut off 1 stone, but I'm now alive 100%, 99% I should say, on the lower left, and now I've created again that weakness at M3, plus you still have to deal with this move. Yeah, and there's still Aji of me not pushing here, right? While there is Aji to doing this, there is still Aji as well of playing this one and separating off this stone here. So, would you play this directly? Yeah, I think it's hard to say. It is really hard to say because white gets the key shape here, and now it's a harder fight. But white's whole group is in danger. So, but when white fixes and lets this jump happen, this is very good for black. White has white has given black the key shape. And now if we look at this exchange here, yeah, look at black shape all of a sudden, or look at white shape all of a sudden, I mean. And black goes here, but again, black, and we see this as a theme with these games, is, especially in this game, black, it didn't really look like black was playing just for profit. It always felt like black was trying to kill no matter what happens. And generally that will spell disaster for you. So if black simply plays at h3, this still attacks white, but it keeps black connected and white weak. So white still has a stick here, and black is gaining on the bottom. But when black plays here, this allows white to separate. And again, while it is technically a more severe move, it puts black in more danger. So black takes this spot. This is good. And white, again, I would just connect because, again, the stones in the center are just kind of floating. And yeah, just connect. And black has to do something with these stones, but white tries to be a little more active. Black separates. And again, here, you peeped, so you should just answer. This is now threatening to separate, so black needs to add a stone, and now you've created some strength in the center. And you're only giving up 2 stones, which is not too bad. But when you wedge here, black plays this is a very good move, J5. This will allow black to run out, like so. And now if we look at the board, white has 1 weak group, 2 weak groups, 2 blacks, 1 weak group in the center. And black is actually making the Tengen on the 3rd move a very reasonable move here. So white Ataris, pushes here, and black peeps. So whenever you're in a fight, especially a fight where you have 2 weak groups, you actually want to try to find a way to simplify or almost give up one of the groups. Because having 2 weak groups to your opponent's 1 weak group is generally a spell for disaster. So for example, which group is heavier here? The lower left or the bottom side? Well, just strictly based on how many stones, the lower left is heavier. So if white simply Hanes here, notice how not only does this connect white up to, or start to connect white up to the upper left, but notice how these 3 stones of blacks start to become very isolated. It means even if black cuts here, which again, black's only taking, 7 stones? White would be able to attack the upper side somehow. And this would allow white to maybe gain some momentum, because if black tries to save the 3 stones, then white's going to be able to gain on the top side. But when white just connects, white not only gets heavier, but allows black to get the key move at d10. So whenever you're under attack, and especially with 2 groups, you have to find a way to simplify. So white extends up, because here's the problem. When you help this side, moves like h10 are also attacking the lower left. And this is why having these 2 groups is so hard to handle. So white jumps. And again, this is what I mean earlier if black needs to focus about points. Black's too bloodthirsty in this game. Black just needs to jump here. This is cutting off white from connecting to their stone at b12 while also helping their stones at d14. So if white just jumps out to connect, if black descends at b14, now we have to ask, okay, what did white gain from b12? Well, white's gained, let's see, a point at j5 maybe. Right? White hasn't gained anything with this, and black's taken the entire left side. But by trying to attack white on a large scale, again, if this happens, or if this can work out, black gains more, but it's risk versus reward, and I don't think it's worth it. If you just play here, again, white can't connect under, because now when you surround, now white has no eyes and can't counterattack either. But if as we notice, when you cap here and white jumps, now you're the one, black's trying to get separated. So black goes there, and cut, attach. This is correct. Again, black, it's simply, and I say simply because simplify is the name of the game here. And to be fair, this shape is obviously not the greatest, but this threatens to play g14, threatens to capture at c12. Again, taking the entire left side should feel good enough for black here. But when black Hanes and white cuts, black Ataris, white's able to connect back. And now black's group here on the left is separated. And yeah, black has more problems now than if black had just simplified. Black goes there. White Hanade. Again, I'd be cautious about these exchanges simply because, again, these stones here that you're adding or making black add are more so hurting your left side than really helping your bottom side. But white takes and then plays there. Yes. Black takes the ko again. And white Hanades. Yes, this is a key spot to get. And I like this because white is not afraid of the ko either, because white understands that black is also in danger. So it's heavy for black to start the ko. So black fixes. And white pushes. Yes, this is good. And then black takes. So black does finally take the left side. But now white got a key move at h16, which threatens to play j17. And black's a little weaker in the center. So white plays here. This is correct shape. A lot of players might think to Atari and then do this. But the idea is black probably will never make this empty triangle because it just hurts black's shape more. So we can play here. Black cuts. So black cuts saying, okay, now it's time. Let's fight this ko. So black goes there and white jumps back. Black takes. White peeps. Again, this is the benefit of not Atarying at L10. Takes. Plays here. White fixes. And again, black just then immediately pushes and cuts. Which again is possible, but there's no reason to if you're still fighting this ko at F13. Again, we're fighting over the entire left side, so white has to do something. White has to find ko threats. But black immediately goes into, okay, let me attack the bottom side. Push. And now this is giving white good shape here. And black even turns, allowing white to separate the bottom. Because even here, black could just start to connect on the bottom. It's a little sketchy because there is weaknesses of the double attachment here. But generally speaking, black will be okay here. Because again, black doesn't need to kill the bottom. And that's kind of the key here. If white plays at 06, black can go back to this ko. White's entire bottom side or left side is still in danger. But when black turns here, now black has to worry about this bottom group, and now black's fighting this ko, which is now, if black loses it, black's going to lose these stones here. So black plays here. This is nice. White goes there. Atari, yes. Black Ataris, yes. Push, yes. These are all ko threats. This is a ko threat. White plays there. This is a ko threat, yes. This is a ko threat, yes. And white is still threatening the center. And then black pushes here, but white says, well, it's still a ko because black never finished the ko at F13. So white connects here, and now white has captured the bottom, and black needs to separate in gote. So now white is still connected into the center because white got the key move at H16. So yeah, black tries to keep the fight going, but there's just too many weaknesses in black's shape here. Black gets separated from L16. Black tries this wedge. This is a nice Tesuji, but yeah. Black cuts here, but misses that white can Atari here and threaten to capture the clump of stones there. So yeah, black could have just taken the side earlier and just kept white weak and could have taken the bottom, but instead, black tried to be too aggressive and in the end ended up paying for it and ended up resigning here. So I think for both players, for white, I think timing is very important as well as a direction of play, I think, could be better. And for black, just really trying to, when you have a really good position, it's hard not to get overexcited and be like, oh, I gotta make something happen. But really thinking about, do I need to kill this group? And generally speaking, the answer is no. So really, you should be thinking, how should I attack for profit? Because there is no reason for, one, the bottom group to die, but also this clump here to die also. So yeah, that was it for game 2. Let's go to that was it for game 1. Let's go to game 2 now. Okay, we're back with game 2. We have shrestha, hopefully I'm saying that right, black, 5K versus Kachatudon, white, also 5K. So another 5K game. And again, like the first game, this game is pretty hectic. So let's hit the main points with this game. Play there, yes. And like the other game, we saw this as well, where instead of just playing the quote-unquote standard Joseki move, extending all the way, and generally speaking here, if black wants to take this, you should just allow it as white. Because even if black backs off, there's still later down the line places to invade, maybe around h3 and maybe around m3. So it's not like black takes the entire the bottom side in one move, but white immediately pincers. And the problem with the pincer is now you have to worry about q4 and m3, but the problem with m3, this pincering move, is that it's facing these 3 black stones here. So a very common Joseki that's kind of fallen out of style because of AI, but it's still considered Joseki as this shoulder hit. And if we play the quote-unquote normal Joseki, normally white jumps here and connects back to the corner, but in this case, it's just going to hit their head against those 2 black stones or 3 black stones. So, yeah. Generally speaking, you want to pincer when you have your lower left stones to fall back to. And that's generally when you want to pincer. Or pincer far away. If you pincer far away, now it's harder for black to attack this K4 stone. Black jumps and then slides, and slides is okay as long as after this, black had taken R3. This is a very important move here. Not only gives black the corner and a base, but takes away white's base as well. But when you jump here, this is actually a very good move, just not in this scenario. Specifically because when white plays R3, white gets the base, and now your 3 stones here are considered heavy. So black then shoulder hits, which again, if black had shoulder hit here, it would be a lot better. But black shoulder hits now. And black goes down. White hanes, yes. And black hanes back. Yeah, this is the problem with the drop down as black. Because of the hane at the head of 2 stones, white can hane on the other end, and now white is going to connect. And if white's going to connect to the J3 stone, then black is just separated from their lower right, and it's just going to be pretty ugly for black. Because this is directly threatening to capture at K4 as well. So there's not a great way to handle this. And even if you can separate the tail, if white plays something like this, black needs to save K2 now. You can see even if black can get these 3 stones here, black's lower right is in a lot of danger all of a sudden. A lot of danger. So, yeah. Instead, I would just hane here. Just hane here. And even if white wants to cut, I will just let white take the 1 stone. So, yeah. And this is why, even though we're technically in the opening, because we have wide open spaces left, we're kind of in fighting now because now the stones are getting close. Now the stones are getting close and we're fighting over bases in ice space. So, that's why missing 1 move like this is so vital. Play there. White plays here. This is the right idea, but the key move here is actually, and it might not look like it, but the hane here is so valuable, and it has to do with the hane at the head of 2 stones. It's just so painful. It's just a difference between these 2 black stones having more liberties than these 2 white stones now. And you can see white's shape here is just very, very bad all of a sudden. So, yeah, hane at the head of 2 stones. Very, very important. Black answers, though, and then white cuts. Black cuts, Ataris, and then hanes. This is all good. White goes here, Atari, and then black extends here. Now, this is, it might not seem obvious, but this is actually the wrong way to save this stone. And it has to do with the fact, after white pushes here, this attachment here. This attachment is very annoying. Because if you want to keep white separated, you can't hane. Because if you hane, white can cut, and there's no way to save this stone at K3, or K5, I mean. If you Atari this way, I can Atari back. If you Atari this way, I Atari this way. And you'll always be in a shortage of liberties here. So you have to, as we see in the game, play this one. which after this Atari here, you can see black's shape is ruined now. So it's strictly better to either extend in one direction or the other. So if white hanes, then we can jump, and our shape is a lot better here. In this specific case, though, it's best to push here. Push at k6, this threatens an Atari at l7, which is very painful. If white has to answer, you can see black's now not running into any liberty problems. So if you ever get this shape, which this shape comes up a lot, you generally don't want to run out with the diagonal. You want to either extend this way or this way. Go this way, white extends there, black extends, white attaches, Atari, and go down. So in a lot of scenarios, going down here is, I'll say, just fine. But whenever you just descend like this and black connects, notice black has connected, and now you don't get any more forcing moves. But would you believe me if I said white can connect to the corner, to the lower left corner with those 3 stones? Because it is possible, and it has to use the fact that black is low on liberties. So instead of descending, we first cut. And cut generally means you're putting your opponent in a stranglehold, because they have to play in a certain way, because now this is an Atari. And while we are giving up a stone, compare this shape with the game shape of this. Notice black has 4 liberties and is completely fine. Technically speaking, after this, black has not connected. Obviously, we can't cut at L2, but there are still liberty problems with this group. And so next we can play J1, which this threatens to capture the 4 stones. If black does something on this side, Atari and cut. So if black has to play at K1, now we can play at F2, and we have connected with a monkey jump. So yeah, black's unable to separate here. So this white group can actually just connect back. So this white group is actually very, very strong. Yeah. So when white descended here, though, then all that Achi went bye-bye. So yeah. But white can still push in the center. And it's very peculiar to me because playing at L7 is such a big move for both sides. It is strictly sente for black. And since it's that important, white wants to get rid of it. But both sides, even when black plays here, which we'll get back to this move, black is not, even right here, black is not playing that Atari. So, black, you should take this Atari ASAP. It is strictly sente, and it fixes the cut in sente. So it's a multi-purpose move. So, yeah. But before we get to that, here, this is a simple, just black should shoulder hit here. It is simply a better shape, and we have to ask ourselves, after we play here, how do we then continue? Right? If white, let's say white does this, and we help our group somehow, how do we then continue on the left side? Because we don't want to kick, because this forces white to hurt our shape. And even directly, there's weaknesses when white plays at e6. If we have to connect, peep, white can push and cut, white can hit the shape point. Our shapes is very awkward. But if we play the shoulder hit, our follow-ups are very obvious, or at least more obvious, where we can descend straight down, we can maybe peep here. If white ever pushes, we can just extend. So our shape's just a lot better. And so, yeah, black, you should not do the knight's move, but instead do the shoulder hit. Play there, hane, yeah, jump. Again, both sides should be either preventing or taking L7. Even here, black goes there, and white goes here, yes. And similar to the last game, always attack for profit. You should never feel the need, especially at move 57, to try to win the game right now. Go's a long game. You don't need to win it in under 100 moves. Because what white tries to do is separate black. But by doing so, white just killed their own stones on the bottom side. Whereas instead, if white simply hanes here, capturing these 2 stones, saving these stones, white can still attack this group. It's not like this black group is going to live in a move or 2. And even if it does, it's only going to be worth a few points. So there's no reason to try to go for the kill really early on, which, again, happened in the other game too. So now white's just died on the bottom side for realistically no reason, as well as gave black huge thickness here to attack the bottom right. But then white goes after this group, yes. Black attaches. Once again, we'll see white makes a lot of unnecessary exchanges, which are actually helping black's shape here. Black is fully connected, whereas white has 2 stones here that's weak, a stone here that's weak. There's now a weakness at d4, because now this is an Atari, but also creates a cut at c3. So white's actually just made black stronger. So whenever you are attacking, just think about surrounding. Just surround. Just hane here. If you surround, kind of like how white should have over here, if you just attack black, the idea will be, okay, black will live, but maximum how much can black make in that area? Maximum. Maybe 5-6 points. So black makes 6 points there, and even if black makes those 6 points, which again is tricky, we will then be able to play elsewhere. Again, the game isn't decided on just this local area. The whole board needs to be played still. But when white tries to separate here, now it's just a lot harder. White wedges, and then black connects. And yeah, white's really going for the kill, which is just unnecessary. Black hanes. Here, black, if you simply just connect, you won't have any problems, because if white ever hanes here, comparing this to the other variation, if white just surrounded, there is a very tricky cut here for white to handle, because this threatens to capture the 5 stones, but also hurts these 2 stones, because now it's, again, you've gotten the hane at the head of 2 stones on both sides, which is the most severe you can do. So when you play here, yeah, even here, just all you need to do is connect. The question here is white separated? Yes. And can white separate in or connect in one move? No. So you just connect, white will forever be separated, and you'll forever be connected. But by turning here, you give white the chance to cut here. And now you need to make the bottom side live and the center group live. Take, and white plays here, yes. And this is correct. This is a nice Tetsuji here. Or not even Tetsuji, this way to connect. Yeah, take, slide, and then try to surround. But black just ends up, when white hanes here, black just ends up dying. And now this entire left side has to live. Which again, if black, all you needed to worry about was, and in general, you shouldn't just focus on living, winning. So if you thought something worked, then sure, go for it. But you really overcomplicated this when you did not need to. Black goes here, white descends and can cut. Yes, played there. And this is very nice, this attachment underneath. It uses the fact that there's a forcing move at f2, that this is connected. So black goes there and pulls back. Black goes there, yes. Attach. Now white here. Oh, white here. Black already is dead. Black does not... There's no way, even if black gets another move, black is still there. If black gets 2 moves there, black just is not alive. So you don't need to do anything there, but this takes away a liberty from your stones here. So it's 4 liberties to 4 liberties. If black haned here, white would actually lose these stones here, because now it's 3 liberties to 4 liberties. So all you needed to do, white, was just take away a liberty here. And again, there's no way for black to make 2 eyes locally. Black answered though, and then white took a liberty. Play here. Here, white, because there is actually danger here. Always remember that capturing 2 stones is not an eye. So if you play a move, something like this one, even if black captures, it's not an eye there. And this cut here at c3 is not a problem. But when you connect, black cuts. Yes, black squeezes there, turn. There's actually something that works here if black hadn't played here, but instead played at h1. If we take away all the liberties, Atari, d1 is going to work. So even after all that, there was still a chance for black to make something happen here, which is why, again, these 2 stones are not actually necessary to keep black dead. But black plays at J1 instead, and now that squeeze, because white has an extra liberty at K1 now. Black descends, and white makes an eye there. So now, after these stones in the center have died and these 4 stones here have died, the entire left side is dead. So, yeah. Even black ends in Gote and plays at F2. So, yeah. Lots of craziness there. Lots of mistakes on both sides. So again, big picture things is just take care of your groups more, black. And for white, kind of the similar, honestly. You don't need to go for the big home runs for either side. It's a long game, so you don't need to try to win it early. So here, this is normally the Joseki move, but again, when black has thickness here, you probably can't play so close. So I'd play a move around R9 now, because black's next move is very good. Yeah, Q8 is just a very obvious weakness in white's shape. So white has to play there, yeah. Descend, Hane. Here it's a minor thing, but getting S11 is very important because this threatens to connect, but also keeps a lot of points on the right side. Whereas when you answer and black's able to Hane next, this is a very painful move. But black answers there, Atari, and connect, okay. Here, better to play, you only want to Atari if you have to, otherwise you would rather extend your liberties, and the reasoning is, if you play here, white can Atari here, and you have to answer. Right, it's a forcing move, it's an Atari. But by going here, now Q12 is not a direct sente move. You don't have to play at P10. You could play this diagonal, you could play this turn here, you could play this jump here, I guess, technically. So, yeah, you only play this if you have to capture this right now, which you don't have to when you have all the thickness there. But white goes here and almost kind of, yeah, at this point, we have to ask ourselves, how big is these 3 stones? If we connect, it's Gote, and if white takes, it's Gote. And when we save, we make no points, and if white takes, white gets 3 points. So it's like a 3-point move in Gote both sides. So it's definitely the best time to ignore. So always looking to ignore is very important. This turn here is big. But yeah, they just kind of wrap up. And yeah, it's just the lower left was just, or the left side, realistically, was just too big. Even though white lost these stones early on, black got too overzealous in the center, the left side, and yeah, paid for it. We do see one final thing here with this ko, where play there. Yeah, in general, for ko threats, you can throw in once. Always look to throw in if you have ko, if you're fighting a ko. But yeah, play there. So right here, when you just block here, you allow white later to get this Atari, which is big endgame. But if you can take away, if you play here, notice white can't save these 3 stones still, because it's I versus no I. And so you just saved a point because you didn't play at D18. You don't have to play at D18, so you don't have to play inside your own territory. White goes there. And black cuts, yeah, this is actually a very big move. I didn't mention it because I was just going through quickly, but yeah. White needed to actually answer there, and white goes here. So white is being very aggressive when there was realistically no reason to, and loses all these stones. So yeah, this is just, should be common shape knowledge that knight's move can be cut, and you cut it by jumping across. So whether it works on the 10th line or the 1st line, it will always be cut that way. So yeah. But we get this, and then white missed this one too, it seems. And yeah, even with that though, it was the left side was just too much. I believe the end result was, was it white by 40, I believe. So even with white's blunder on the top and the lower right, there's just too much. The left side's just way too much. So yeah. So again, I said it earlier, but black, just take better care of your groups, and white, if you are going for the attack, kind of like with black in the first game, really think about your profit. You don't need to kill. You do not need to go for the kill on the center group. So, yeah. But that's it for game 2. Let's move on to game 3. Okay, we are back. We're now looking at game 3, the final game. It is still as exciting as the other games, believe it or not. So let's just jump right in. And again, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the opening, considering the players' ranks. This opening is very good. This is actually the opening I prefer as black, believe it or not. 0-4, again, maybe not the most, what's the term? AIs don't recommend it the most, but if black is comfortable with it, it is fine. Play there. And then split the left side. In general, splitting the left side is okay, but realistically, you want to take control of the game. So where do you want to build? Do you want to build the top side? Then you should take F17. Do you want to build the bottom side? Then you can take F3, right? And then be able to make something with those moves. But when you split this, you're almost giving up the control of the game. Now white can decide, okay, maybe white wants to build the right side now, or maybe white wants to build the top. And white can also decide which way to force you to play, because if white takes one extension, then you will probably take the other one, which we see that in the game. So white goes there. Black extends all the way, which is fine, but this does leave a weakness at C12. White just backs off. And then just extends here. Black extends and jumps. I really like this move. But yeah, getting kind of like in the other game, the game 2, have to realize C17 not only takes the corner, but takes out the base of these 2 white stones. Now, again, white can treat these 2 white stones lightly, but keep in mind there is a weakness at C12. So getting C17 even helps this entire black group. So yeah, looking for these kind of 3-3 moves, because black 3-3 the other corner, but yeah, because even if white defends this corner somehow, then black would be able to attack the upper side. And while attacking this upper left, black will be able to build the top side as well. So yeah, but black comes in. Yes, this is all correct. Yeah, and this is fine. This is fine. And black plays there. Again, kind of similar to what I said in the first game. When your opponent is weak, or potentially weak, you don't need to be so scared of any potential invasions up top. You don't need to think about, oh, if I have 1 stone, I can extend 3 spaces. That is only in terms of if we're under pressure. Like on the left side here. Like we want to think about, okay, we can only extend, but we want to make an extension. How far should we extend to make a comfortable base? But when we have support stones like we do in the upper right, we don't really need to worry about that, because we can use those stones will help us if white ever comes in. These stones in the upper right will help us. Playing there, white takes that. That's a big spot. And then black jumps. Here, though, probably a little better to do this, but this is, again, not the biggest mistake, only because, and again, this came up in the first game, where knowing your shapes is so valuable. White can actually play at C12. And the reason is because if you have this 3-space extension on the 3rd line, and even though your opponent has a stone in the middle of it, you can always attach underneath and connect. You can always attach underneath to connect. So no matter what black does, if black tries to separate here, we're going to give up this stone at B10 in order to connect back this way. And same thing if black hanes the other way. In this case, maybe black can technically cut here, but even if we take the stone in the center, black can actually still die on this side, and we have cut off this F10 stone, which was pretty important to black, actually. So, yeah. And so, if black has to prevent that somehow, then you can see black's able to run out. So, that's why I think just playing here prevents any invasion, whether now or later for white. But white plays here. And then black attaches. Again, attach is a very nice tool to use if you want Sente. So I like this. I like this. Whereas playing R11 is a little calmer. It's realistically saying, okay, if you go elsewhere, I'm going to invade. But if your opponent just answers, quote unquote, normally, then it's not really, like, this is still an okay move, but technically white could go elsewhere even here, because your invasion here isn't the most severe. White could just let you connect underneath. But attaching is a lot more severe because we're taking away a liberty. So that's the whole idea, is attach if you want Sente. That's why even on this here, white should attach here. I bet black would answer this move because we are taking away a liberty. So attach when you want Sente. And as you get stronger, you will realize Sente is like the most important thing in Go. So, yeah. And we saw the attachment in the second game, or in the first game, that black used up top with white's corner. Similarly here, you do not... Hane here is okay, but realistically you don't want to give black... Or you don't want to leave weaknesses, I should say. So I like the Hane, but probably just connect next is best. Notice black still has this 4-space extension here. So black still has problems here with their connection, as well as problems in the corner. But if you push here, notice you are helping black connect, whereas you still have weaknesses that are problems. And they could have been problems in the game, actually. So white jumps here. Again, I can see white likes this nice move in the center, but really you should be looking for attachments, especially like on the left side. Again, maybe there is some potential at c12, but I'm looking at this bottom right and I'm not seeing any potential invasions. So this is the best time to attach. Again, attach for sente. But realistically, white needs to fix the weakness on the left side, on the right side. It's too big. Black jumps here, it's okay. Again, L5 is slightly better, but again, that's minutia. Jump here. Yeah, S9, so big. So big. It not only solidifies all of black's territory, but is kicking out white's side territory. Now white only has center territory, which again, if white gets this move, this all becomes territory, but also now threatens monkey jumps. So it's also threatening to reduce black's side. We play this, white Hanes, and black here. This is, and it's hard to balance, is this Aji Keshi or using the Aji, but you should just cut here. This is simply to see how white's going to answer. Is white going to Atari and go here? Is white going to just fix here? Is white going to just extend? We're just trying to see how white is going to play. And we want to do that now because later white might play differently. Like if the center gets so big, white might not care about that one stone on the right side. And white might just let you take it in exchange for the entire center. But right now, how can white decide what white wants? If white does this now, well then you could say, okay, then I'm going to reduce your center because it's obvious you want the center. And even if white captures at S6, you got 2 moves in a row. So, and if white goes here, then you know, okay, white wants the points there, but now there's weaknesses later down the line at cuts like P12. While this looks like a ladder, and a lot of cases is a ladder, we have created this double Atari at Q9. So, yeah, white has problems now, and it's because we cut earlier, not later. So, yeah, just cut just to see how your opponent's going to answer. It's a very important concept. So here, this is a very strong move if white didn't have a tiger's mouth here. And so there's just this double peep here. And if you can't, when white cuts here, if you can't, let's say, counterattack, this is generally not a great result. So if you want to play this move, and I don't mind this direction for black, just back off one line. Just play this one instead. Notice now if white peeps, it is now just a single peep. And again, technically, yes, white can push and cut next, but now your 3 stones here are much more solid than in the other position. You could just continue in the center somehow. But when you play this one, yeah, it's just a little too, white's a little too strong in the lower left to be playing that strongly there. But we get this cut. Black just connects. Yeah, and that's very painful. Again, you really want to Atari here if possible. I don't think white's going to let you capture the stone. So white will probably extend, which will allow you to still connect. And after you've connected, you can still threaten to capture 2 stones here. So if white does something else, you can still capture the 2 stones. So white will probably save those. And white's not unhappy. White captured a 3rd line stone. That was pretty important for black, and there's a weakness here. But it's better for black than allowing white to get this extension here. Black splits here. And yeah, this was an unnecessary exchange for white. Notice white just ended up pushing and cutting. You could have just done that and saved a liberty. Or I guess technically not a liberty, but you've saved a liberty on the E14 stone, I should say. So, yeah. But realistically, white here, again, just capture here. And now you're threatening to push and cut. And you can just keep attacking black as a whole. So, or even just go somewhere else at this point as well. But playing here, cut, yes, and take. Yeah, like if black had gone here, white's just captured. It is 4 liberties to 3 liberties. And that is sometimes how simple Go can be. It's just who has more liberties. So white has 3, black has 4. There's no way for white to get more than 3. If white has 3 now, or 4 now, but black can just take it away. So, yeah. But black goes this way, which allows white to capture, which just squeezes them bad, but yeah, black could have captured. Here, and it's very similar, at least to me, or similar confusion for me, I should say, is a second game when white or black never Atari'd those 2 stones in the center on the bottom, and white never prevented it. I don't know why white does not Atari here to destroy black's shape. If you just Atari here, black has to decide what to do. If black has to connect here, look how bad black's shape is all of a sudden. But as we'll see, black Ataris and then is able to fix. Compare the 2 shapes, right? And even if black wants to fight this ko, it's up to black to find the first ko threat. And again, even if you just answer whatever black does, the shape is still a lot worse for black because you've taken away that eye. So yeah, just looking for these moves that destroy your opponent's shape is like one of the most important attributes or skills, I should say, in Go, is just knowing how to destroy your opponent's shape. So that means black, you can't go here because white's going to cut here. So you have to just fix first, like this. And if you fix here, it's pretty hard for white to kill you now. So, but white fixed and then black fixed. Turn, peep is sente, play here, yes. Connecting is okay, but we saw it in the second game, I believe, where you could jump across the knight's move first. We saw it on the left side in the second game, where white peeped, and instead of just connecting, black jumped across. And the idea is black is deciding, or black has to decide right now what to do with this peeping stone. If black separates, then when I connect, now you've been separated. But if you play this one, then I can connect, and now the shape's a lot worse for black. There's an immediate cut. Whereas if you play here, technically I could pull back and notice it's fully connected. So just identifying, okay, knight's move, how do I separate the knight's move? By jumping across. So yeah, little efficiencies add up over time. If you're a little more efficient on 10% of your moves, that means out of 100 moves, 10 of your moves are just doing a little bit more than they used to be, which is so important. So important. Like, this is a good move by black. This is being efficient. I like this. Atari, extend, yes. Hane. Yeah, and so the thing here is, if black is alive, which black is, you don't want to keep playing here because all of these are potential co-threats you are wasting. So this exchange is fine, but then just go elsewhere and save any potential co-threats later. Black turns, and black says, okay, we are in endgame now, which, the board's pretty filled up, and it's pretty close, honestly. But here, again, it's a minor move, but getting B17 is so powerful. Noticing that, oh, this white group is not alive. So B17, if B17 is sente, then I can get just a couple points in sente. So looking for moves that are efficient, as well as sente, are so important. Because if you can find just a few sente moves that are a couple points, if you get 5 sente moves that are 2 points, that's 10 points right there. So yeah, it's a game of inches. Go is a game of inches, which is why with the other games, when the players were going for the all-out kills at move 30, that's not really how Go generally works. It takes a lot more to win a Go game, but yeah, so we played that. This was actually a very nice exchange by black. This is actually pretty hard to see, so I'm impressed by this. This is good. Yeah, black ignores. Black attaches, or white ignores, I should say. And yeah, white got that. That was important. Because notice even black treated this as sente. Whereas if you go here, now you won't have to play at B15 maybe. So yeah, getting rid of your opponent's sente move is also a very good technique. White jumps here. But remember what I was saying about it, forcing moves, attachments, is they are more sente. So black can play moves like F18, which is so painful. So painful. White might not even be alive at this stage. So black stands up though, goes down. White takes, so again, and black found the clamp. So this is very, very nice. And right here, we have to ask ourselves, okay, is white alive? Is white alive? And technically, it is a little more complicated than that, but if you just take a look at the board as is, this move kills because white cannot save this stone here, like this. So, yeah, white is just alive, or dead, I should say. So I'm not sure why black took the stone and let white live. Now, technically, I think there is potential if white goes here with this clamp for some sort of ko. Which again, this would be a flower ko for black, so black shouldn't shy away from this. But yeah, yeah, technically white still has a ko there. But black takes, white lived, and yeah, again, no reason not to just hane here, as opposed to just descending. But okay, hane. Yep, this is all fine. Yep, that's actually a big spot to get. Here, this is a little slack. You can simply just Atari here, or block here. I know black was worried about the cut here, but notice since these 3 stones aren't in immediate danger, you can just take, and now white has to find something to do with this L15 stone. So a little slack to back off like that. And in this game, as we'll see at the end of the game, this game was very close. It was decided by less than 3 points. So like every point here does matter, which is why I say efficiency is so important. Hane. Play there. Yep. This is all fine. Cut. Yes. So now we're just in endgame. There is one final kind of big thing that could have happened, but again, overall, this is a very pleasant game by both sides. So I'm very impressed. Here's one final point for white. Even if, like, notice how the entire upper right is completely surrounded, which allows black the opportunity to play moves like S16. Even if you don't know when to live there, do it sooner. So even if white had done it all the way back in the opening, like even all the way here, black cannot play the same move as they did in the game. And it's because the outside is just completely wide open. So even if white left it at this stage, white got black to respond in a, or sorry, if black had responded maybe something like this, everything black has to play differently. So now white can just play as if treating R17 as a probe. So you always want to probe or invade early, in some cases to try to live, but also in some cases just to see how your opponent is going to answer. So white had many chances. White could have done it, I don't know, any point here, white could play. Even here, again, it's a little late now, but yeah, any time that the right side is not completely sealed in, white should play that. But now that it is, it's just a little too late. Yeah, white tries to live, but black played very strongly, and there was no real chance there, so that was good. But yeah, right here, yeah, this was just a small blunder. If white simply goes here, yeah, white saves this stone here. But after this, this is smart by black, noticing, okay, I can play here and then separate. And pretty much that decides the game. That little end game right there by white, that little miss, decided the game. Now, there was actually, could have been even worse right at the end. Right, where is it? Right here. So both sides pass after black cuts here, but there is actually some problems here. So if you want to try to figure it out, you can pause the video here, but there is actually some weaknesses here in black, or in white's shape. And we can kind of get that sense because notice the cuts and the shortage of liberties. These 2 stones have 1 liberty, this stone has 3. So black just starts with the very obvious just cutting. Now it's a question of what can we do on this side? And again, if we just think about what move reduces liberties the most, Q7 should pop out. If white saves this way and we cut, this threatens to capture the 3, but also threatens a double Atari. Like if white saves here, we can just Atari, and white can't save both. Okay, what if we take? If we take, same idea, Atari or cut there. So yeah, even right at the end, there was something worked there. So yeah. But yeah, without that though, Black still won, and it was a 1.5 point win, I'm pretty sure. So very close game. White, I would just say be a little more. In the other games, the people were being too aggressive, but in this game, White, you could have been a little more aggressive actually on attacking the center group. And also, if you're going to invade or probe an area, you got to do it sooner as opposed to later, as well as you don't want to leave these cuts, because even as we saw right at the end of the game, there was some weaknesses there that Black could exploit. And yeah, Black actually pretty solid. I'm really happy with Black's play here. Again, I think it's kind of the reverse of White's, is just taking care of your groups. Like, there is no need to play the double 1-space jump, as well as leaving that potential invasion at what would that be? C12 was also an issue. But yeah, overall, pretty solid game. But yeah, that's it for round 2 from season 19 reviews, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.